Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel. I am excited to do a bit of a tag video and a bit of a book review video, and also maybe show a couple things that I've been working on in the house. So it's a little bit of a scattered one today, but I'm excited to talk about some books. So let's just jump into that. So I'm going to do this first little bit on this table and chairs that I refinished. So that was a lot of work. I'm going to be doing the Dear Publishing tag. I was tagged by Caitlin over at Bandy's Books, and I don't do very many tags, but this one had some questions that I was like, yeah, I have some answers. I have some things I want to talk about. So I thought it was worth picking up. This tag was originally by the channel Books and Cooks, so I will make sure to link her channel down below. And let's just go through the questions really quickly. The first question is, what is something you would like to see publishing do more of? Now, I don't really follow like current publishing trends. I get most of my recommendations not from what's new releases, but from what other people have read of the new releases, and I get recommendations from people. So I'm not following any of the like specific things, but just generally, I think that I would like to see more fiction that takes place in different countries around the world. I was talking to my daughter the other day and she said, why do all of my books take place in the United States or in England? And I explained to her, well, you know, a lot of English speakers are from there and they're going to write about things they know. And I think that it's good to have, you know, more diversity in locations, even if you are sticking to a specific language. And the next question is, what is something you would like to see publishing do less of? I mean, I don't think I'm in the minority when I say stop making movie covers for books. I don't think anybody likes that. Who's looking for, I want this actor on the front of my book? No, give us the cute book covers. That is something that I would like to see less of. A trope that I would like to see more frequently. I don't know. I think I get a little annoyed when I see tropes in general used too frequently. I just like a variety because, you know, if it's all different, it's gonna be more fun. But a trope that I would like to see less frequently, something that really bothers me, is when villains in books are shown to have some sort of disability or physical deformity. And I feel like that is so ingrained culturally that if I'm reading a book or watching a movie and I see somebody who has a scar or has a limp or has some sort of physical difference, suddenly I'm already suspicious of them and I already think that they're the villain. And so I think that I would like to see less of that. That does drive me nuts. The next question is, what is a change you would like to see in kids' books? Kids' books, I feel like for me, I think it's not necessarily a change in kids' books from like the publishing side of things. It's more on a parenting side, and it's not limiting your kids to what they read. I think it's really fun when my daughter is excited about a subject and we find books, even if it's a textbook for high school students or a little kid picture board book. She's 7. Both of those can be really informative and really fun, and just not putting those limits on, you have to stick with this. Obviously, there are some things that might be like an appropriateness level for different ages, but even those, I feel like done in the right context, if we read them together and talk about them, I think that they can be really meaningful. So I don't really know on publishing. I think that my big thing is just not limiting kids reading to a specific age category. And what is a very specific request you have for publishers? Here's a very general request. Just keep publishing lots of different books. I love the access, especially with the internet, to have so many different books and self-published books and books from all sorts of genres. I feel like the ability to read from lots of different backgrounds and cultures has really been expanded. And when you look at books from, say, 50 years ago, it's a much more narrow perspective. I really love being able to see lots of things from different people. So that is the Dear Publishing book tag, and let's jump into just a couple book reviews. All right, so for the first book review, I'm going to be doing it in my kitchen, and we've repainted all these cupboards white, and then redid the glass because it was that yellow pebbled glass, and then down below we painted all of them green because, if you can tell, I match the cupboards. I love green, everything in green. I think something that I haven't been able to change out yet is these, but that's an eventual one. So it's been a lot of work. We redid all the appliances and everything in the kitchen, so it looks new and it looks nice. So the book I want to talk about is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. This is following Lucrezia in the 1550s, and she is born into like nobility, and it's kind of following her story growing up and getting married off, and then getting worried that her husband is going to kill her. And I thought it was fine. I like Maggie O'Farrell's writing. I feel like it's really engaging, and I enjoyed that. I feel like I'm in the minority where I don't love her as much as people say, and I think maybe it's something about the time and setting don't interest me as much as they should, because I don't know. Like, everybody says, oh yeah, Hamnet's my favorite book, and The Marriage Portrait was so wonderful, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I think the only reason that I thought it was good is that the author made the smart choice of putting right at the beginning of the book, my husband's trying to kill me, and then we get the flashbacks of her youth and growing up, and every once in a while we, flash forward to my husband's trying to kill me. And I think that that was a really smart idea, because it kept some sort of present sense of danger throughout the whole book, because honestly, I think I would find the story a little bit boring if I didn't have that connection of, I need to make sure she's okay and that she doesn't get killed by her husband. If I didn't have that, I don't know if I would have had quite as much of a connection. But what Maggie O'Farrell does really well is she does these like really well-researched historical fiction that's based on a lot of fact. She really tries to give it a somewhat sense of reality, and I really love well-researched historical fiction. So overall, this ends up being like a 4-star book for me. I thought it was really good, but I don't know if it quite lived up to the hype that I have heard from other channels. I had heard a few channels talk about this, and the reason that I picked it up was actually from Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I will make sure to link his channel down below, because he always has the most excellent book recommendations. So I definitely wanted to read it, and it didn't disappoint in that it was a good book. I just don't know if I'm going to put it in my best reads of the year, but definitely enjoyable, especially if you're interested in this time period. I think that this is a good place to go. So I'm back in a boring white room because it is getting too hot throughout the rest of the house. I hope you are all finding ways to stay cool because it is miserable. But I had a comment on my last video saying that I should try reading books by Timothy Snyder. So I picked up the book, The Road to Unfreedom, Russia, Europe, America. And this was really good. It was an interesting look at post-Cold War Russia and some of the philosophies that have shaped the government and how they have played out in political life, and then the spreading of those ideas, and then the adoption of these ideas and the pushing of these ideas into Europe and America, and seeing the consequences, the real world consequences that have come from that in current days. And I really appreciated, I thought the tone was really interesting because the author was trying to take these more present day events and kind of turn it into a bit of a history book and help you look at it in maybe a more objective, more broad sense. And I really enjoyed it. So overall, this was an excellent book. I really liked it. I think my only downside is I feel like the people who should read this book aren't going to, but other than that, like, it was a really well done book. Really enjoyed it. Glad I picked this one up. Thought that it was really worthwhile just to understand the context behind a lot of current events. I would really love to hear a follow-up from this author because this was published in 2018, and as you all know, a lot has happened since then, and I would be very interested to see his follow-up and his take on what's happened since then. So overall, really excellent book, especially if you want context and understanding of a lot of current political events. I think that this is a must-read. And that is where I'm going to leave today's video. I will come back with some more book wrap-ups in the future, and if you have any book recommendations or thoughts on these books or thoughts on the tag, leave them in the comments down below. I would love to hear them, and I will see you all on the next one.